To touch on, let's go ahead and dive on into how to style a bed. These are my favorite tips and tricks and just different ways to do things that you may have not thought about. So let's go ahead and get started. For our first bed here, I wanted to do a play on an all-white bed because I know all-white bedding is extremely popular, so I'm going to be doing a all-cream bed, starting off with a simple cream sheet set here. I love this one. It is so soft, so I added the fitted sheet first, then the flat sheet on top. I'm then going to go ahead and add right on top of that a quilt. This is a linen quilt that I just love. It has some nice square stitching on the front of it. This is a great way to add texture to a bed, so I'm just adding that right on top and then folding back both the sheet and the quilt just about 12 inches or so to have a nice folded top, and then tucking the entire quilt around the bed. Now this is the trick on getting a nice fluffy designer looking bed. You're gonna place your duvet towards the end of your bed, pull it all the way up to the top, and we're gonna actually do a third fold where we fold it back down to the bottom and then right back up to that fold that was created to essentially create a tripled up duvet. This is going to make it just look a lot more fluffy, and then when you get into bed at night, all you have to do is simply pull back your duvet, and it's essentially how a normal bed would be made. So at the top, I'm gonna add a couple of sleeping pillows. These are just 2 cream pillows, keeping it very casual with the pillows up here. And then right in front of those, I'm adding 2 black striped texture pillows just to add a little bit of contrast to the bed. And then in front of that, just a more decorative pillow. This is a really pretty woven one. And then lastly, to the bottom, to finish it off, I'm going to be adding a chunky throw knit blanket. I think that just adds a lot of texture again, especially when you have a tonal bed. It's nice to incorporate a lot of texture for interest. Our first bed is complete, and I figured I would go through kind of what I did to each bed after so you guys can get an understanding for why I did these selections. So this bed here is more of a minimal kind of monochrome bed. I know a lot of people really like white bedding, light colored bedding, so I wanted to do a full-on white/light bedding option. So I started off firstly with a simple sheet set. Now I do wish I had a sheet set that had a slight, very simple pattern to it, something just to add a little bit of texture to this area, but this is not bad at all. So this is from Brooklinen, love that. Then I added a quilt on top, which I love adding a quilt, especially during winter time. Now if you don't want to add this in the summer or whatever it might be, you can just go ahead and pull your duvet a little bit higher. However, the quilt adds a nice bit of texture and separation between these 2 areas. Now the duvet here is from CB2, which I love this duvet. You guys have seen this multiple times on my channel. It's like the duvet I've always had on my bed. So I just went ahead and folded that in thirds. It's a really great tip to make your bed look a little bit more fluffy and overall a bit more designer vibes. And lastly, I added on just a really cute chunky throw blanket, again going with those neutrals but adding a bunch of texture. And then as far as throw pillows go, I went pretty simple. I did the sleeping pillows in the back, 2 black with some texture striped throw pillows, and then one more interesting one in the front there. I feel like if this was going in this room, I would do a pillow here that's a little bit more bold, maybe some pattern and some color just to spice up the bed a bit, but I wanted to keep everything neutral for this option, so this is our first bed. Bed, we're going to be playing with pattern and texture. So the first thing that I'm doing is adding this really moody sheet set from Target. It has this floral print on it. Now, whenever you have a printed sheet set that's printed on one side, I always suggest laying it pattern side down. That way, when you add your duvet on top like I'm doing at the moment, when you fold back down the top section and pull your sheet over the top, it literally looks like the underside of your duvet is the same exact material as your sheet set, but it's really just your inverted sheet, which is a really nice little tip there. Now, at the bottom of the bed, I'm actually adding this matelassé coverlet. This is a great way to introduce a coverlet, a blanket, a quilt, whatever you have on hand, but it just adds a lot of texture. So I'm going to be pleating it back on the bottom of the bed here and almost allowing the coverlet to overflow the bottom of the bed just to add a very effortless, lived-in vibe. And I think this adds, again, kind of that designer touch to a bed where it almost looks like you don't want to get in it, but at the same time you do, and it's really not too hard to achieve. Now, for the pillowcases, I always do this when my pillows are too long. I simply invert the ends of the pillowcase on the inside and kind of create this tuck, which just makes them look a little cleaner. On the top there, I'm actually stacking my pillows. I love doing this when I style a bed as opposed to leaning them against the headboard. So I stack them in the back there, and I'm adding a few different throw pillows. These ones are not coordinating at all, but I love the abstract look of uncoordinated pillows on a bed. I think it just adds a little bit more interest. And then the very last step is to add a nice throw blanket at the end of the bed. I'm gonna do this one a little bit less organic because the bedding is pretty kind of flowy itself. So I just folded this one up into fourths, and then I'm just adding it to the end of the bed like that, and that finishes off this bed. The second bed has been styled, and this was actually a very similar bed to the one that I did for my fall bedroom makeover, if you guys remember. And the reason I love this bed is because it actually utilizes a coverlet, which I really have been loving those lately. This Matelassé one from Target is my absolute favorite. I'll link it for you guys below. I like it because of the texture, but then it also has this really nice frayed end on it as well, which just adds more texture to the bed. I did this really dark pattern sheet, and I think it's really fun to play with dark colors like this and bold patterns, because all you have to do is offset it with something a little bit more simple, like this bottom section here. I did really bold at the top here with the fitted sheet, and then I placed my flat sheet actually face side down, so when I folded it back, it almost makes it look like the duvet is covered by the sheet, or the duvet essentially matches our sheet set. And then for the pillows, I just use the one straight from the sheet set. I love utilizing pieces from the same set because it creates cohesivity. Is that even a word? Probably not. Cohesiveness, as I've been told. So it creates cohesiveness, which we love that. So I did all 3 pieces from the sheet set here and utilized all of those elements, and then did some simple white sleeping pillows on top, or they're more of a cream tone to go back to our Matelassé coverlet here. And then over in the middle here, I actually did 3 different throw pillows, and I love doing different ones. I know a lot of people like using the same throw pillows on a bed to make it look very symmetrical, but I love the look of different throw pillows. And then just at the bottom here, to pull in a little bit of those throw pillow colors and add just a touch of warmth, I added this plum throw from my online store. But I think this bed looks so cute, and it's just like a fun little take on adding a coverlet to the bed and just making it look a little bit different. Bed here is probably my favorite one in the video, and it kind of blends a little bit of 1 and 2 with the high contrast. So I started off with my cream sheet set that I used in the first bed to show you guys that you don't need to have different sheets for all your different beds. There's definitely ways you can make your bed look different without having to go purchase a bunch of different items. So the next thing I did was the same exact duvet. I added that right on top, but for this one I actually just got a brand new quilt. I folded it in half and added it towards the bottom of the bed there. This is going to be our determining factor for we're going to fold over the top of the duvet. So I just folded it right down to the top of where that quilt ended, and then I ended up adding 3 26-inch pillows in the back. This is a fun way to get away with like a different pillow styling. So what I did was I added 3 26-inch throw pillows in the back there, which are I feel like normally used for sofas, and then I went ahead and added 2 standard size pillows in front of those. Then I added 2 decorative pillows right in front of those, again coordinating those as well. And then right in front of that you can add a lumbar or a smaller pillow. I had the square one from the flea market on hand. And then what I lastly did was just went ahead and added a throw blanket, and I tucked it right under the fold of that duvet, which I really like, and finished off the bed by tucking absolutely every aspect of the bed into the base there. The lines weren't perfectly straight, but I feel like you guys get the vibe. Our next bed styling is complete, and I think I like this one the most, honestly, in this space so far. I love how this kind of big chunky black section coordinates back to the board and batten in the back there. But for this bed, I actually did some simple layering on the actual bed itself because I really wanted to do a bunch with throw pillows. Now, this is definitely hit or miss for some people. Some people enjoy more throw pillows, some people enjoy less. For this particular bed, I did 3 more Euro-sized throw pillows in the back. I believe those are 26 inches. Now, I wish I was able to find 3 of this one, but I wasn't able to, so I grabbed one that was pretty similar just to give you guys a look. And then these ones up here are actually some really pretty kind of quilted shams, so I added those as well. And then 2 decorative vintage kind of Turkish woven pillows, and I got this one actually vintage as well at a flea market. So I feel like the interest for this particular bed is more top heavy in the sense that the top of the bed is more interesting than the bottom, but I feel like it's really balanced nicely because we have this dark section here. And I did the throw blanket a little bit differently on this bed. This is an alternate way if you guys would like to, you know, switch it up a bit, where you just kind of fold it over and tuck it underneath. When I worked at West Elm, they did this a lot, and I always loved how it looked. Something else I did on this bed in particular was I actually tucked in all of the bedding to expose a bit more of the wood, honestly, to contrast back with the throw pillows, but it also kind of shortens and brings down the silhouette of the bottom of the bed a little bit so that we have more emphasis on the top of the bed. But if you do want it to be more balanced, you can totally make this nice and full at the bottom as well, so it looks like a fully just overdone but balanced bed. So that is our third bed. I just love the way this one looks. For our last last bed here, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a simpler design, but I feel like that's really been trending lately in interior design. I've been seeing a lot of simple beds, so I'm starting off with a basic cream sheet set once again, but again, you can totally alter these colors because a lot of these beds, I'm just sharing with you guys the styling, but you can switch up the colors to match your style for sure. Next, what I'm doing is adding a quilt right on top and then folding it back, and then once more back on itself to create that triple fold, which I just love this look. It just creates much more of a hotel looking bed and overall just makes your bed look a lot nicer. Now towards the top, I'm gonna be adding 2 sleeping pillows just stacked on top of each other. These are in the same exact fabric as the sheet set, so it just creates a nice cohesive look. And then towards the bottom, I'm gonna fold up a bed blanket and lay this right across the bottom. I really feel like simple beds like this, they're playing with shape and just minimalism and lines and fabrics and textures to make the bed interesting, but still extremely simple. So I'm adding 2 plaid throw pillows and a simple lumbar in front to finish off this design. Another bed for you guys. This one's a little bit more on the simple side, but I love it. Now, again, every single bed doesn't look perfect in this space, but that's because I'm showing you guys different ways to style beds in one area. So this is, I feel like, more for a toned down, more minimalistic room, someone who likes just very simple bedding. I also feel like it does look better when you don't have a bed that has a little pop out lip like this wood here, because it does make your bedding pop out. When it's kind of straight flat down, it looks a lot more crisp. I did a simple quilt here. This is actually from Gap, believe it or not. I love it. It's so pretty and it has like a nice kind of frayed edge to it as well. And then what I did on top at the bottom was just folded up a bed blanket. This one in particular is from Boll and Branch, but they have these at IKEA. Just a nice little additional bit of warmth if you wanted to lay it out on the bed. And then as far as the pillows go, I actually kept these ones very, very simple. Just 2 plaid ones, which I love plaid right now. I feel like it's such a universal pattern for male and female. I just love the way that it kind of looks on a bed. And then I added a small, more camel toned kind of lumbar in the front there and just the sleeping bed pillows in the back. So very simple for this one, but still really effective at the same time. I think it's really cute. And you guys, that finishes off today's video.